Good afternoon, everyone. I am back with you today for an update in the case of missing 20-month-old Quinton Simon from Savannah, Georgia. And it's not a great one.
And as you heard, Leilani Simon, the mother of Quinton, has been named as the prime suspect in a homicide investigation. Okay, this isn't like investigators are in the dark, what happened. No, they believe that this little child is dead, and they are looking at Quinton's mom, Leilani, as the prime suspect.
Quinton's mother, Leilani, finally made a TV appearance with her mother, Billie Jo, by her side. And this interview has everyone talking. In the exclusive, Leilani is seen crying, quote unquote crying in my opinion, claiming that she is not running and that she is not going to be hiding. She then claims that she would turn herself in if she was responsible for anything.
I'm here, I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
Leilani is acting like a heartbroken mother in these clips, but if we remember just a week prior, while law enforcement was searching a literal landfill for the body of her child, she was out partying and drinking at a bar with her mother, Billie Jo, and her friends. Now, I did see Leilani's reaction to people's outrage of her going out, and she says that her friends were in town. They went and they stayed at a hotel by this bar, so then they invited them to go over and see them and get away from, the media and all the protesters outside of their home. So they went to this bar with their friends, and this is where all this footage is seen. And I could see going out to get, a bite to eat amidst everything happening if it wasn't at a bar and if there weren't as many outlandish claims as there are, and I'm going to be talking about in this video. But what really bothers me in this clip is where she says, if I'm not at fault. But why would you ever be at fault if you had nothing to do with your son going missing or being murdered? Why would you say if something comes up where I'm at fault, I'll turn myself in if there's nothing, even a potential of something happening where you were at fault? So clearly, in my opinion, that says that there is something that could be found where she is at fault. I don't know, that line just doesn't sit right with me. And the fact that Billie Jo says that she will walk alongside her just doesn't sit right with me either. Now, this is the part that really piqued my interest. As soon as Leilani says that she wants Quinton to be found alive and well and happy, Billie Jo immediately starts to break down and cry and turn away from her daughter.
Great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive. We want him back in our arms, holding us. That's what we want. We're just hoping that he's in somebody's house and they're feeding him, and they are hoping that, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior. But it's not. That's their best hopes at this point.
So take everything that I'm saying with a grain of sand. I'm just a girl with Google who has watched true crime cases for years. But in my opinion, it just felt really off and strange when Billie Jo immediately turned her head away as if she was trying to distance herself but couldn't physically take herself away from the camera. If you believed your daughter and you believed that Quinton could come home safely and that she had nothing to do with it, why wouldn't you be consoling her, rubbing her shoulder, hugging her, being physically closer to her when she's saying things like that? Why would you physically pull yourself away? That leads me to believe that she possibly doesn't believe what Leilani's saying. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. After watching all of that, the interview in Leilani really reminds me of the Meghan Boswell interviews. Hey, I could be wrong, but I'm just not buying any of the emotion that she's displaying in these videos or anything that she's saying in this interview either. And it makes me believe it even less when you hear over and over and over again that Leilani has a history of lying and drug abuse, and people just keep saying that she's a liar. So why would I buy this interview if everyone around her is saying she's a liar? And that leads us to Quinton's bio father, 24-year-old Henry Bubba Moss. Now, allegedly, Bubba showed up at Billie Jo's home the night after Quinton was reported missing, and he has a different version of events of how everyone is reacting and feeling to Quinton's disappearance. He claims that he showed up to the home and that there was a party in the backyard. Everyone was high as a kite and drunk as hell, including Leilani herself. He says that Leilani was laughing when he showed up. She seemed to be on some kind of substance, and when he was there, she apparently, said she was sorry and that she wouldn't put Quinton in any danger, stuff like that. Now, keep in mind, before he showed up to the home, Leilani actually claimed to police that Bubba had been the one to take Quinton the night before. And that led to police showing up to question Bubba as he was mowing the lawn of his boss's home. And this is where police said that Leilani claimed that he had showed up and picked up Quinton that night. But it turns out, according to police, Bubba wasn't anywhere near Savannah the time that Quinton disappeared. And there's even surveillance footage showing that he wasn't anywhere near where Quinton was when he went missing. So essentially, Leilani then made a false claim. So imagine being framed by the mother of your child for the disappearance of your child, and then showing up to the home to find the mother of your child and their family having essentially a party where they're high as hell and they're drunk. I would be pissed. On top of that, when we look into the history between Bubba and Leilani, it really shows a lot. Bubba actually met Leilani at a swimming pool in 2019, and then Leilani fell pregnant with Quinton in 2020. She apparently didn't tell Bubba she was pregnant for months, and then she ended up giving birth in Alabama, which is why Quinton doesn't have, Bubba's last name. On top of that, according to Bubba, Leilani had moved in with him at one point, and he claims that she was a cheater and a liar, and claims that she spent her days doing cocaine and smoking marijuana. And I quote, "She did cocaine every day, all day, as much as she could." And according to Bubba, Leilani would also exhibit a violent temper and lash out when she couldn't get her cocaine. Bubba was then again quoted saying, "When she didn't get no money from me to get fucking drugs, she'd go crazy. She hit me a few times in the face." Bubba also claims that Leilani would sleep with other men to get cash for drugs. And Bubba isn't the only one that's made these claims that Leilani is a liar and a thief and all of this other stuff. If you want to see my conversation about stuff like that, I will have linked down below the original video and coverage on this case and the timeline leading up to Quinton going missing. And you will see there's also interviews of her stepfather saying that Leilani is a thief and a liar. Her brothers also made claims to police and police reports that Leilani is a thief and a liar. So it's not just a one-time thing like a bitter ex saying these things against her. There's so many people in her life. Even her own brother has said these kind of claims. So where does that leave us? There are so many claims of Leilani being a drug addict and high as hell all the time. And now there is also breaking news of a recording between Bubba and Billie Jo, where Billie Jo claims that she thinks that Quinton drowned while Leilani was high. So I will play that for you now.
I feel strongly about that. I feel, honestly and truthfully, Bubba, I ain't gonna lie to you, I feel like there was an accident. I feel like something happened while Quinton was in the bathtub and he drowned and they were both high. That's my theory.
Well, hell, they should just call the police if something like that happened.
If you're high as hell, man, you do stupid shit. Even yourself, you're a different person whenever you defend her, because I'm not defending her. You know what I mean? But I know I'm not the same person on her.
In Billie Jo's own words, when you are high as hell, you do stupid shit. And where have we seen horrific things with babies done while the parents are high? The Baby Sterling case and the Justine Johnson SpongeBob case, which I've covered both of those cases. I will have them linked down below as well. And this case is starting to unfold and remind me of a mix of, Meghan Boswell and the Justine Johnson case, where Justine Johnson was high as hell. She was seeing things. She blamed SpongeBob on killing her child. It was this whole thing. But if your own mother is suspecting that you were high and your child drowned and that you covered it up, that's saying a lot. And I think that makes sense why Billie Jo was turning away from Leilani when she was saying that she hoped that Quinton was alive and that she thinks he's alive somewhere out there, because I don't think Billie Jo buys it. Yet Billie Jo is still staying close to her daughter, which I find very interesting. And I'm wondering if she's staying close to her daughter to try to figure out herself what happened to Quinton, and thinking that maybe if she kind of pretends that she buys what she's saying and that, she's making her feel comfortable around her, so they're still living in the same home clearly, that maybe Leilani will slip and tell her something. How do you all feel about all of this new information below? Let's talk about it. And if you're not subscribed out there, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you're notified when I do post new updates. I hope you all stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.